Your unique story, our global audience. Global One Media.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of our Stocks to Watch series from Global One Media, where we speak with company leaders across the board to help you, our viewers, make informed and intelligent investment decisions. I am Munir Barazi, your business analyst and host, and today I am pleased to welcome Jeffrey Wilson, the CEO of Eureka Lithium, a lithium exploration company aiming to uncover high-grade deposits in the vast underexplored region known as Nunavik in Canada. Eureka Lithium is publicly traded on the Canadian Securities Exchange as ERKA, on the OTC as SCMCF, and on the Frankfurt Stock Exchange as S580. Hello, Jeffrey. Thank you for joining us today.
Thanks for having me. It's a pleasure.
Welcome. So can you begin by telling us about the story behind how the company was founded and its current mission and vision?
Yeah, Eureka Lithium is a company that I founded with some colleagues a little over a year ago. We built the shell and got it up and running in public with the mandate that we were looking for a compelling story, a compelling opportunity to bring into the company to bring shareholder value. About 6 months or so ago, I was having communications with a group that was focused on lithium exploration, was looking to identify and target, lithium type prospects that had world-class potential in safe and sound jurisdictions. And we sort of partnered up with a renowned gold prospector named Shawn Ryan. Shawn had some concepts and some ideas that were quite unique with respect to targeting lithium prospects in northern Quebec. These were based on some historic data from the Quebec government that maybe had been a little bit overlooked by previous explorers and the market in general. We were able to put together a significantly sized land package in that northern Quebec region of Nunavik, as you mentioned, and in the last couple of months have tied up that acquisition, brought in the project's 100%, and just completed a $6.7 million financing to help finance an aggressive campaign of exploration for this year and beyond.
Sounds very promising, and I'll get to your partnership with Shawn Ryan in a bit. But if you could, for the moment, tell us a bit more about the significance of the Nunavik belt in relation to Eureka Lithium's objective, and also the specific projects that you have underway in the region.
Yeah, I mean, this is, as I mentioned, this is a little bit of maybe an overlooked or underappreciated region of Quebec. There is quite a bit of activity going on in the area. There's historically one of the top nickel mines in the world is located here. There's also a deep sea port. So again, from if you find it, can you build a mine here perspective, there is some of the real key important infrastructure and a precedent for mining operations in the region. But what we did that was unique is Shawn Ryan and his team identified through digging through, on a global search and identifying some of the right geological environments, geophysical environments, structural environments that existed in northern Quebec, and then applied that in tandem with this historical data from the Quebec government, where the Quebec government had done quite a detailed survey of lakes bottom sediment sampling. And there was quite a significant known database. And in that database existed some significant clusters of elevated lithium readings in a number of these lake sediment samples. And so Shawn was able to go in and utilize not only that data, but some of his own, obviously, analysis and concepts, and pulled together land packages that brought together some of the highest grade lithium, like we're talking in the 99th percentile, lithium readings in the entire province of Quebec. And so this, along with some of the activity that was happening in the region, which includes some work being done by a private company called Cobalt Metals, which is backed by the likes of Bill Gates, Richard Branson, Jeff Bezos, raising hundreds of millions of dollars at critical metal exploration in this region. We think we've landed in a place where not only can we identify significant lithium deposits, but there's known activity going on and mining history in this region as well. So we think this covers and checks a lot of the boxes, and we're pretty excited to get active here.
Lots of indication of potential there, and you have the first mover advantage, as you mentioned. If you could tell us a bit more about your partnership with Shawn Ryan, how did it come to existence, and what attracted him really to collaborate with Eureka Lithium?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a real key factor in the Eureka story is having the sort of the brain power of Shawn and his track record for finding mines, finding eventual mines and applying his very systematic techniques to exploring prospects and turning those into discoveries and eventual mines. As I said, Shawn had applied a thesis and identified ground that he thought was quite prospective. We were able to identify quite significant land packages. But in coming together with Shawn, I mean, one of the keys here is, these are big tracts of land. There's a fairly expensive staking cost in putting these together. We didn't want to be in a position as a company where we were raising significant amounts of money to simply acquire the assets. So we were fortunate to be sort of in the early days of the company's formation. We were able to combine with Shawn in a manner that, yes, covered some of the costs of staking, but also provided Shawn with significant share position. So most of our acquisition transaction was in the form of shares and paper. So Shawn now finds himself as one of the largest shareholders of Eureka, and that aligns him with not only the company but shareholders, where the upside of this is not simply to take a lump sum of money and walk away and here you go, Eureka, you're on your own. This is Shawn aligning with us, being in the boat with us and providing significant advisory information as we progress these projects along. There's also a relationship with the crew that is doing some of the groundwork. These are people who have worked, it's a contract exploration group called Ground Truth, who have worked previously in the past with Shawn and some of his concepts in the past. And I think that's critical because when you're sending people into the field, you want to make sure that you're executing on the ideas and the concepts that the brain power wants to see executed on. And so we've got some really good synergies between a crew that's on the ground and in the field now, and Shawn as the brain trust that brought these projects into the company.
That's very positive to hear. And the fact that he has a stake in the company shows that he has a lot of confidence indeed. Can you tell us a bit more about your future plans, perhaps elaborate on the milestones you're working on, and also explain about your de-risking approach when it comes to exploration projects?
Yeah. So with these projects now acquired, money now raised, as I said, we raised $6.7 million at the beginning of June. So we're well financed to be able to execute quite aggressive programs. We've engaged Ground Truth Exploration as the contractors. Very systematic and almost military style sort of programs going on here in terms of the logistics of getting into these projects, big land masses, and trying to identify prioritize zones with the best characteristics for potential discovery. So we've got 15 people. We've got a crew of 15 people who are now out on the projects, systematically mapping, sampling, prospecting, utilizing LIB devices, which are essentially laser scanners that can provide on the ground readings from scanning rocks and samples. So it allows us, again, to sort of fast track the process. We're moving from the southernmost projects up north. So as the seasons kind of allow, we've been able to sort of move gradually to the north as the snow has melted in the spring and early summer. And again, this area is sort of a dry tundra type region. Unlike some of the areas in southern Quebec or southwestern Quebec, where a lot of the other lithium activity is going on, it's a little bit more swampy. Where we're working, it's quite dry, and there's a lot of rock exposure and outcrops. So again, from a prospecting and sampling perspective, lots of opportunity to see and sample outcropping, and we are seeing quite a significant number of the right kinds of rocks. We're seeing the pegmatites that you want to see in the lithium exploration phase. So that work will go on through the balance of the summer with the agenda to try to identify and prioritize a number of targets that we deem to be drill worthy. And we are prepping logistically to be prepared to be able to initiate a first phase of drilling later this summer.
I feel the enthusiasm in your voice, and it sounds like a very disciplined approach. My last question, are there any updates or catalysts that investors should keep an eye on, both current investors and perhaps potential ones in the future?
Yeah, I mean, I think, as much as the share price has sort of performed here over the course of the last couple of months, much of the work that we've been doing has been preparatory. We've been executing on completing the acquisition of the projects, completing the raising of the financing, engaging the contract exploration crew. So it's really at this point that the rubber is sort of really hitting the road, and we're able to execute with all of those ducks in a row, and now getting active what really sort of moves the needle, which is exploration work and results. So we expect quite a significant amount of news flow over the course of the next few months. Everything from updates from the exploration work that's going on, sample results from the lab, and also looking to advance to one or more drill targets in the coming months. In combination with that, of course, we are seeing some other companies. As you mentioned, we are a bit of a first mover, but we are starting to see some other companies coming into the region. We are seeing other operators in the region announcing their own news. So we expect to see something of a little bit of an area play here. And not the least of which, of course, is our sort of billionaire-backed neighbors at Cobalt, where the Bezos and Gates, et cetera, are spending a significant amount of money looking to identify critical metal discoveries in that region. So we think there's going to be a lot of activity coming from the region. We want to be at the forefront of that, and we're going to be very aggressive with news flow over the course of the next couple of months.
Sounds like you're moving on the right track. Jeffrey Wilson, the CEO of Eureka Lithium, thank you so much for sharing all of those updates and insights with us today. We look forward to sharing more with our audience.
Thank you for the opportunity.